Hello, and welcome to Do You Watch Anime? My name is Adam Corky, and this is a show where I ask a guest if they watch anime. And today, joining me is cosplayer, performer, and Eren Yeager biggest fan.
The premier Eren Yeager cosplayer of Toronto.
Most famous Eren Yeager cosplayer in the world. Bearsailormoon, how are you?
Hello. I am so excited to be here in this wonderful space, in this moment of time together with you. I wear my bear earrings.
Oh,
so
there
I
you
could
go.
bear it all.
Oh. All right. So, do you watch anime?
I mean, I want to be sarcastic and be like, no, I don't watch anime. I just saw this character and was all like, I have not watched Sailor Moon Cosmos like 3 times. Yes, I do watch anime.
Yeah.
And other animes besides Sailor Moon.
Oh,
which is
really?
shocking.
Oh,
yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, oh, you only like Sailor Moon? And I'm like, correct. But, I have watched other animes.
What are these animes that you speak of?
I made a list in my head.
Yeah.
And on the train ride here, that list was replaced by more lyrics by Dua Lipa. So if you need me to do the dance routine to Houdini or just singing the entire song, I can. Listing off animes I've watched in my life, different story. All joking aside, like Attack on Titan, I finally bit the bullet and finished that. Because I'm such a busy person with work, other engagements as well too, social engagements, and also doing conventions. A lot of the times I forget that I'm watching something or that something has finished. And with Attack on Titan, it was kind of really chopped up. So I recently finished all of Attack on Titan. I loved it. I actually got into a random conversation with a guy at the bar one day, and we just started talking about Attack on Titan.
Oh.
And I was explaining the ending to him, and he was like, oh. And I was all like, I thought we were talking about Attack on Titan. Did you not watch the same thing? And he's like, no, I didn't get that. And I was like, they couldn't have made this more crystal clear.
Yeah.
This is the ending. This is what it is all about. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, oh my God. Anyways. Soul Eater is one of my favorite all-time animes. I've watched Soul Eater I think 3 or 4 times now.
Oh wow.
There just comes a point in time where I'm like, I just want to watch Soul Eater.
Yeah.
Obviously Sailor Moon. Some older animes would be like Guyver, which is Guyver Bio Boost Armor Guyver.
Okay. Yeah.
It's from I think the late 80s, early 90s. It was a manga that is actually still being produced.
Shit.
I know, it's really weird. It takes 10-year hiatuses, and then it's oh, here's another chapter. See you in 20 years. Peace.
Yeah.
And then it was turned into an OVA, and then in the mid 2000s, I believe they produce a newer version of it. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well. Mm-hmm. It kind of followed the manga a little bit, but it's a solid one. It's a little gory though. Ooh. I like it. I like a little gore.
Yeah.
Rama Half is one of my
hell
movies.
yeah.
So although good. I feel that when every time people say that Rama Half, I haven't watched that since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then Akira, that's where I was going. Akira. Yes. I feel that every couple years Akira just kept completely deleted from my brain. And I go back and I watch it, and every time I come back and I'm more confused. I'm like, wait, what was this?
Yeah.
Not as confused as I was watching The Boy and the Heron though, because I was just kind of all I'm like, I think I get it. Am I not smart enough to get this? I get that I'm really pretty, but still, I don't have long hair, so these earrings act like the long hair.
Perfect.
Kill la Kill, I watched that when it was popular, but I haven't been keeping up. I haven't watched My Hero Academia. I didn't watch that gay figure skating one that everyone was raving about. And it's just because it's one of those things where I just haven't taken the time to sit down and really watch them. I did start watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I was I need to know what the hype is. And I got through, I think the first 2 seasons.
Okay.
Also, FYI, if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast and you cosplay a really good Grandpa JoJo, call me. Like, there is nothing that will make my knees weaker than a really good looking, like, Grandpa JoJo cosplayer who's, like, all buff. And I'm like, I had to stop watching the third season because I was like, man, I have problems. These are creating a whole list of issues. Oh, and I don't care if anybody says, like, it's not. Avatar.
Yeah.
Korra.
Yeah.
Like,
so good.
I ate Korra up and I left no crumbs. And then I watched it again.
Okay. Thank you, because Korra gets too much hate.
Oh,
like,
Korra's fantastic.
Korra's so good.
Korra is a classic example of a cartoon aging with the franchise. Or aging, with the franchise's demographic.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people watched it, like, in their teen years, you know, like, we're in our adulthood now. But at the same time, it still needs to be a kid show. So it dealt really well with, like, a lot of really deep issues, PTSD, and those kind of things. So, but did it in a really good kind of childish sense.
Yeah.
So, like, kids, like, could fully understand it, but also grew up with its audience as well.
Yeah. When I watched that third season, I was like, oh my God, she has so many mental illnesses. Like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, this is supposed to be for children? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. But, like, I mean, it did it in a really good way. That was like, all right, like, here's things that can happen to you. And then these are the ways that, like, you deal with it. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, away we go. And, God, I don't even know what else. Like, there's, like, a laundry list of, like, stuff that I've watched. Just, like, when people are like, do you watch anime? And I'm like, no. I just, like, walk away. Or, like, people be like, are you dressed as Sailor Moon? And I'm like, no. Oh my God, my favorite thing in the whole entire world are old people.
Oh yeah.
Old people are my favorite thing in the whole entire world. Because, like, for Halloween we were able to dress up at work.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna come dressed up in my Sailor Moon outfit.
Of course.
Right. I worked at a place called Biff's Bistro, which is part of, like, the O&B chain. And the clientele there is a little bit older. I was never called Wonder Woman more in my whole entire life. And it was like, and I can't tell you how often that happens. Like, older people come up to me and they're like, are you Wonder Woman? And I'm all like, sure.
Yeah.
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 I am Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just always lie and say that I am Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan.
I love it. I love it so much. There was one Toronto Comic Con. I dressed up as Deku. It was like the first one since the pandemic. I was getting stopped like nonstop at one point, and these kids come up and they're like, oh, can we get a photo? I was like, absolutely. And usually I'm used to taking photo with the kids, but no, the entire 6 people family joined in, and I was like, y'all watch this? Like,
it's like, it happens to me, like, quite a bit. Like, I don't mind children. I don't want them.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
And also there are a certain height of children. I refuse to take photos with children that are not above my skirt length.
Yeah.
Just because it's a little weird. I'm like,
Yeah.
I get down and I'm like, I'm a lady. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really weird. And it happens a lot, like, near the convention center, because, like, we'll go for dinner somewhere just to get out of everything, have a reset before performances and stuff, right? And it's just so weird, like, getting, like, stopped on the street, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, can we get a photo together? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. And then it's the entire family unit, and you're just all like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all right.
I'm on break right now.
Yeah. Who are you gonna show this to?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So what is it about Sailor Moon that makes it your, like, kind of just favorite?
So this is, like, a really loaded question, because, like, when I was younger, I just loved Sailor Moon. So for, like, full transparency, I am pushing 40. Okay. I'm going to be 40 in one more year. We're going to have a gigantic blowout. This is going to be a lot of fun. So when Sailor Moon came over in, like, 95, for those of you listening who want a slice of Sailor Moon history, it was massively marketed to us. Like, massively marketed. YTV would, like, just do promo after promo, like, Sailor Moon's coming. Are you ready? Like the PJs would be like, oh, Sailor Moon's like a week away. And there was like news reports and like everything. Like it was highly, highly marketed to us. And my brother, who's 5 years older than me, so I was about like 10 at that time, so he would have been 15. So he was starting to like watch like animes. And at that age in like 95, like you're getting like that old stuff, like that like bloody gory stuff. Like this is how I fell in love with the Guyver. And like, you know, Akira and all those like kind of like older ones, is because like by proxy I was exposed to it through my brother. So I was super excited that we were getting an anime and it was a female lead. So that to me was really important, because as a gay kid growing up, I had a lot of female friends. So I was like, great, this is something that like, you know, I can watch with my best friend's younger sister, and we can also play Sailor Moon together, as opposed to like playing Power Rangers. It's a little bit more tame. Started watching it, loved it. And I was like, oh, this is like really cool. And I loved it. And I just kept like going. In my adult years, I still gravitated towards it. And then a couple years ago when Crystal was coming out, and I was able to like read the manga and everything, that I really kind of started being like, oh, the reason I really like the show is because I love Sailor Moon, like the actual character. Yeah. And then it made me think about like, why do I cosplay as Sailor Moon as opposed to Sailor Jupiter or something else? Because when I first started cosplaying as Sailor Moon, it was kind of a joke. Yeah. You know, it's a 10-year joke. It's a 10-year joke that just keeps on going. You're welcome. So I then started realizing that there's a lot of like personality traits that like Sailor Moon and I share, which is, I think, to me, I would like to presume that I give off light that people really gravitate towards. And, you know, I just want to make people feel happy, and I want to entertain, and I want to, you know, like make the world like a better place, like more understanding, all that kind of stuff. And world peace, because everybody deserves peace. So that was really it. And then I started being like, oh my God, I'm like, I cosplay as Sailor Moon because like Sailor Moon to me is a version of someone that I want to be. Ever loving, super powerful, and a blonde.
And can beat Goku.
Yeah, exactly. They would never fight.
No.
We need to put this to rest, okay? Yeah. Listen, they would never fight. No. It would never happen. They'd meet each other. They'd like eat a bunch of food.
Straight up.
And then they'd be like, let's go save the world. Yeah. And if you are privy and have seen Cosmos, like, they really were like, oh yeah, by the way, like Sailor Moon's like the most powerful Sailor Scout in the whole entire universe. Yeah. Period. Hands down. Yeah.
But I have seen the 5th season of the original. So I'm very excited for Cosmos.
Yes. Cosmos is fantastic. And the one thing I loved about Cosmos specifically was it felt like old school anime time. And here's the reason why. Because we didn't get a release date for it. We still don't have a release date as of this recording. If this is 5 years in the future, apologize. I hope I still look this beautiful. Yeah. So we don't have a release date for it. And then they announced that the DVD was going to come out like in December, like 22nd or something like that, like a couple days before Christmas. It was literally on torrent sites. Yeah. Like the next day. And then within a week, we had subs. Yeah. So it just brings back that like old school nostalgia of kind of getting bootleg animes. Because one thing that people forget is that like people around my age, you know, like anime wasn't readily available like it is now. Like we didn't have Crunchyroll. We didn't have streaming services. You had to go to Blockbuster, and if you were lucky, you could rent Chopits or like, you know, something really stupid and like really obscure. Yeah. So, and then you'd have to go to like these like shady comic book stores that like had a random VHS in a hard case with like fan art on it. Yeah. You know?
Or like the manga was like sticky.
Exactly. Yeah. I just always love that like stupid little meme that pops up about the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter. And it's like 10 chicken McNuggets. That's all I could just think about. It's just like random person being like, here's a sailor and a moon. Here you go.
Yeah.
So that was kind of really nostalgic for me, was just kind of getting like that sense of being like, oh, hey, if you're not going to give it to us, like we're going to get it ourselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just kind of like love that. And it's just, you know, you can find it now super easily.
Yeah. There's clips all over TikTok. Like it's all over my TikTok. Like,
oh yeah,
the clips I've seen is like, I'm so excited to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
So because Crystal is very divisive I feel in the Sailor Moon community. What are your feelings on that? Because I hate the hate that it gets.
At first, I was a very big like, oh my god, we got more Sailor Moon. Like, why are you complaining? And now that I can look at it at an objective eye, yeah, the first 2 seasons, like we can, I get it, I get it. But the thing is that it's not so much like the story, it's the animation.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back at it now, I'm like, oh yeah, like I totally understand, because like this was really rushed, right? And you know, my personal feelings about how Toy has done everything with Crystal, there's a lot of like differences like behind the scenes that like a lot of people like don't realize, and like how rushed it was to like get it to market. So I totally understand the hate that the animation gets. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. If I'm introducing people to Sailor Moon, I introduce them to Crystal. And the reason is because it's more digestible, right? One of the reasons I stopped watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was because the filler episodes were driving me crazy.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Like, I'm like, I don't need 5 episodes of you walking through the desert and just doing like a filler episode.
Yeah.
And with Sailor Moon Crystal, it's like, okay, boom. First episode, Sailor Moon. Boom. Second one, Mercury. Third, Mars. Right. And it was just boom, 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 boom. And you get the manga story, which, to be honest, for me was a little bit more fulfilling than, you know, the 45 episodes we got in the first season.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah. We don't get rainbow crystals. We don't get, you know, X, Y, and Z. But, you know, if I'm showing people Sailor Moon, I'm like, here you go. Watch this. If you want to watch the 90s anime, I also have that available as well too. We can do it, but it's, you know, it's 45 episodes and there's some filler and like there's some like really stupid stuff that happens in it.
Yeah.
Right? I miss Sailor Moon Abridged.
Oh my god, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Sailor Moon Abridged
That was such god.
did not age well.
No.
And I know publicly that the people that created it have like kind of came back and be like, listen, like this didn't age well. Also, surprise, I'm trans. So, but there was just like really funny stuff that they did.
Yeah.
And like, I just miss it. And as somebody who does performances as Sailor Moon, there's so many things that I want to just like take from Sailor Moon Abridged. And I can't find it. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find now. And then there was somebody that did Sailor Moon Crystal Abridged.
Oh, yeah?
And I emailed them because I was like, I know you got shut down, but do you have anything? And the guy wrote me back because he's like, oh, wait, you're Bearsailormoon. Moon. I'm like, yeah. And he wrote me back and he's like, listen, he's like, I'd love to. He's like, I would love to, but he's like, I legally can't.
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
I can't because like apparently like Toy really threw the hammer down.
Oh, yeah. They I think a couple of years ago went through like so much of YouTube and just put the hammer down. It's
yeah. But it was really funny because Sailor Moon Crystal Abridged, like the biggest joke that they did was they named Sailor Moon Store Window. Because in the first episode where like she first transforms and then the mom's like, who are you? And then Luna meows to like signify the moon.
Yeah.
And she's all like, I'm Store Window. And I'm just like, and then they made Mars sound like Strong Bad.
Oh God.
And there was just so much, like so many stupid jokes. Like the best one they did was when they went to the ball.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember the jokes right now, but like that was like the best episode ever because they just gave Ray like the strong bad voice, and she's like, "Do you want to dance with me?" Like, and it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly, that doesn't exist anymore. And like one of the things I love to do is to like add stupid clips into my performances.
Yeah.
And for my 5th birthday celebration, I did this whole number to like Physical by Olivia Newton-John that was based on the episode where Sailor Moon goes to like lose weight at the gym and like Jedi's there.
Yeah.
And like, so if you haven't seen the episode, Jedi is wearing probably the most iconic 90s, purple tracksuit.
Yeah.
And he's there and like they make him like gay. He's like, "Hey ladies, do you want to like come and work out and lose weight because you're fat?" Right?
Yeah.
And like Usagi's there and she's all like, "Yeah, I do. He's really hot, but the purple makes him look a little gay." And I'm just like, so I did this whole thing about like doing Olivia Newton-John to that. And well, yeah, I can't find that anymore. So, but like my favorite performance I think I did was I think the world needs to remember Jessica Simpson. Like, not for like Jessica Simpson, but just to remember her. So there's a comedian on TikTok and YouTube, and he's like Heartthrob Rob.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he does like gay science and all this other stuff, and it's really funny. And he does one about like why bottoms will survive the apocalypse because they've spent all their life doing soft choreo, and brings up Jessica Simpson. So I threw that clip in.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest juxtapositions I think about doing conventions as like an openly gay male is like there does seem to be this really weird disconnect with the queer community and conventions here in Toronto, which I've kind of noticed. When I was down at YomaCon, the queerness that was there was just like you could taste it, and it tasted salty. Gonna let that joke sink in. Let me grab you a towel. Standing there like a toaster strudel. This is why I need to do more 18 plus shows.
Yeah, Jesus.
So, and it just made me like really question, like, I'm like why is there such this weird disconnect, especially in Toronto with the LGBTQ plus community, like just down in Detroit, it was everywhere. Like every other person I was meeting, I'm like, you're a little gay, or like, you've either seen one in real life or it's been in your mouth. But, it's really interesting because now heading back into like the new con season, I'm just kind of curious, like why is that weird disconnect? But it is also like super funny as well too, because like when we do the drag show at Fan Expo, you can definitely tell who's like gay in the audience, especially when I did that number with Jessica Simpson, and people just in the back being like, ha! Right? And I was like, oh, I'm like, there's the gays. Yeah. There they are. And it's something that I kind of like, and I don't know if it's just in general that like the gay community here in Canada as a whole might not be like very queer. And it could be just one of those things where there just could be like this like random disconnect.
Yeah. So keeping on with Sailor Moon.
More Sailor Moon.
More Sailor Moon.
I don't watch Sailor Moon at all.
Nope. None. The original the original dub is iconic.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're going to go down that route.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Party. In case anybody listening to this didn't clock the fact that I called them Sailor Scouts like 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
What are some of your favorite parts of that dub? Because it is so iconic, and unfortunately, again,
go bleach your roots, creep.
Oh, so good. Oh, so what is it about that dub that kind of has that staying power that, say the original One Piece dub does not?
I think it's nostalgia.
Yeah.
Right? a lot of us, especially in Canada, because you got to remember that Sailor Moon flopped in the States. It didn't do very well, right? For some strange reason, Sailor Moon in Canada, it hit, and it hit hard. That dub hit hard. I think it was because it was so marketed towards us.
Yeah.
So because it was so highly marketed to us, and we all watched it probably around the same time, we're going to be anywhere from like 5 to 15, right? There was a huge marketing campaign, toy sales, everything, right? And there has been a proven fact psychologically that when we gravitate towards things when we're kids and we really like them, there is like the nostalgia factor. So I think a lot of that dub is the nostalgic factor. If you were to show it to somebody this like now, they'd be like, what the?
Yeah.
Right? I do have the dubs. There was a guy who went back, remastered them to make them like HD quality.
Oh shit.
And the original dubs.
Yeah.
So talking about Sailor Moon, weird. It's like a specialty of mine or something. I know so much about like the production of the Deke dub, about the voice acting. I was able to sit down with Michael, who like wrote all the music for the CDs. And like I run this listening panel. I run a Lore of Sailor Moon panel. I've met a majority of the North American voice actors from the original dub. I got to work with Toby and Susan at London Comic Con in 2023. That was a lot of fun. So I get to see these people quite a bit because it was dubbed here and it was like kind of produced here as well too. But it was also really weird when I was talking to Michael that, he's in Los Angeles working with Deke and he's never met any of the other cast because he's in Los Angeles. They're pretty much all up here.
Yeah.
Right. So there's never really been like this like big crossover because what I've kind of noticed is that people aren't really interested in the behind the scenes stuff when it comes to Sailor Moon. They just want more Sailor Moon stuff. Yeah. So we replaced this listening panel with like the lore of Sailor Moon, and that's Emily and I run that together. And Emily is the founder and con runner of Pretty Heroes. So here in Toronto, especially because I was able to go over to Vancouver for Vancouver Fan Expo, and I was hanging out with the programming team. And being here, I'm just so used to being like, oh, there's like a ton of Sailor Moon cosplayers, you know? And then going out there, I'm like, I barely saw any.
Really?
And Toronto specifically has a high congregation of Sailor Moon cosplayers. Like if you come to a convention in Toronto, you're going to see like probably all the entire Sailor Scout team. Somebody's put together something. But it's really oddly specific to Toronto. So I found that very interesting. Like even like when we went to Youmacon, there was a couple Sailor Moon cosplayers, but like, we on a regular basis have Sailor Moon photo shoots every year at Anime North, and still a lot of people still come to them. I mean, they're not as large as they used to be because I'm celebrating 10 years of being Bearsailormoon this year, and I think I'm like celebrating like 9 or 8 of going to Anime North. And I remember like when I first started doing this, like it was like a huge turnout. Like there'd be like villains and like everything, and like it's just starting to get like dwindles and dwindles and dwindles. As is, like this franchise is like going to be 35 next year, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because I think it turns 20. No, it's going to be 30 in North. So it's going to be like 40 soon, right?
Damn.
And unfortunately, the re-release of Crystal, I don't think did as well as they hoped.
Yeah.
So, we didn't gain a lot of new people from the fandom. It was kind of just like fan service for, the rest of the fans. I mean, obviously in Japan, it did fantastic.
Oh,
they
yeah.
have, that was okay. But here in North America, I don't think it did much.
So it's a shame because like it's so, and so we had a friend who cosplayed Sailor Venus, yeah, at Fan Expo this year or last year, sorry. And she hadn't seen Sailor Moon at all. So we were like, you can either watch Crystal, which is kind of like a more condensed version of the original, or you can watch the original, which was on Crave at the time. And So she literally watched basically Crystal, but with the kind of fluff taken out of the original.
Mm-hmm.
So she went from like, thanks.
Just a cat
Yeah,
chilling here.
just a cat.
Just a cat. Are you a cat? Yes, you are.
She went from the first episode to when they meet Ami, which is like episode like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then she went, I forget, like they meet Venus so far.
Oh, it's like
that is
yeah.
like it blew
Oh my god,
mind.
not another blonde.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's 2 of them. Did you see that landing? I nailed it. Perfect.
Oh my god.
Abridged has ruined so much of like the original 90s anime for me.
Yeah.
I can't even watch some of the 90s anime. Like Abridged just burned in my memory.
Yeah.
Like it'll just stick there. Like, oh no, are you bleeding on the couch? That looks like leather. That's not going to come out easy. How much do you pay for this place? You know, Malachi and I were thinking about settling down, you know, maybe have a kid or 2. I don't even know if I could have a kid. I think my genitals are a void. Like, you know, just I can't. It's just ruined it for me. Okay. Back on track.
It just before we get back on track, with the abridged thing, I'm the same way with Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. I cannot watch the original.
I can only imagine.
I can only watch. I can't watch the original.
Digimon's like another one that I watched. Sorry, there we go. There's another anime.
There
The
you
other
go.
thing about like Yu-Gi-Oh, my mind just like goes off, and I'm all like, Digimon,
Digital
monsters,
Digimon
are the champions.
But yeah, I can't watch Yu-Gi-Oh the same because the abridged Yu-Gi-Oh is stuck in
It's
my
just
brain.
stuck in there. I know.
It's the same as Dragon Ball Z. That's probably one of the biggest abridged.
I had to give up on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
I had to. I'm like 5 episodes for One Punch. Like, come on, sis.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a wig.
That's why the abridged is better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was it like? That was really super easy. Killing in the name of Nappa. Was it?
Yeah.
Killing in the name of.
Yeah.
That was super easy to destroy. I must have been a bunch of rabbits in there. I also watched Dragon Ball Z abridged.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories from that is Chris Sabat, who voices Vegeta and Piccolo in the original Dragon Ball. So he voiced a character in Dragon Ball Abridged under a pseudonym.
Oh, nice.
Because originally they put Chris Sabat in the credits, and then Toei was like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, bet. So he used like a pseudonym and just kept doing it, and I was like, king. I love
Sabat
that.
crop.
Yeah. So anyway, it just blew my mind how long it took to meet Venus. It was like fucking like
it's like halfway through. I
literally.
think it's like even episode like 30.
Yeah.
Like it's far in there because like once they kind of meet Venus, because they've collected the rainbow crystals at this point. No,
yeah.
Not all of them. That's where they get them.
Yes.
Tuxedo Mask gets stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
She becomes the Moon Princess. Shocking.
Wow.
Who would have ever known
Who
that
knew?
me,
Yeah.
a 14-year-old Japanese schoolgirl, would be the Moon Princess?
Yeah.
So weird. And then, I don't think there's like many episodes after that. I think there's like maybe, I don't know. I could look at an episode list, but I'm lazy. My phone's over there and I'm sitting down comfortably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just blew my mind how like far apart they were. I was like, holy shit.
Well, that's why I can't show people like the original 90s because it's just too long.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, cool. If you want to, go for it. I have it. You know, like, party. And I think you can even watch it for free on like Pluto TV and like.
Yeah, I think the sub's on Pluto.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, Attack on Titan. Getting away from Sailor Moon.
Let's do it. Attack on Titan time.
Attack on Titan. How did you? Because the anime that you listed is just all over the board.
I know, it's really weird.
It's all over the board. How did you? You were like, you saw it and you were like, yes. Like what was the mindset going into Attack on Titan?
Realistically, I don't even know how I started watching Attack on Titan. I think somebody was just like, oh, hey, there's this really cool anime. You should probably check. Like, somebody was like, hey, do you like anime? And I'm like, yeah, I do like anime. And they're like, you should check out Attack on Titan. And I was like, okay, fine, cool. I am a sucker for anything that's kind of like action based and like fun and like fast paced and is a little bit weird, you know. And with Attack on Titan, the reason why I watched all of it for me was just because like every time you think you've got it figured out, they're like, actually no, that's not the real answer, and then they come back with a different, like, here's the actual answer. And then the way that they ended the series to me was just like, I'm like, yeah, okay, great, yeah, this is so Attack on Titan. Right. I don't know if we're gonna spoil it for people, but you know, let's not do spoilers. I'm not that girl. But yeah, it was just one of those things, and I just really enjoyed it, and just kind of like the theory about like the OEM gear as well too is just really
so cool.
You know, that was like really cool, and like the swords, and they're like flying through trees. They're kind of like superheroes, but they're not. And like Levi is just a badass the whole entire time.
Yeah, the entire time.
The entire time, like man gets like just keeps coming back. He's like a cat that you know has 17,000 lives, but he's also incredibly so it was good for me, and like in a way politically as well too. There's like obviously some political messages behind it. What they were, don't ask me, because I'm stunning. I am a very, very pretty face with not much to say. So that was what really kind of gravitated me towards Attack on Titan and kept me there till the end.
So you also mentioned Soul Eater, and I fucking
love Soul Eater. Death. If I could cosplay as Death, I totally would. I love Death so much.
The art style is so cool. I think it's one of the most unique styles in all of anime, in my opinion, because it's you don't see it anywhere else. So if someone came up to you and was like, I want to watch Soul Eater, what would be your pitch to them?
You want to cuddle? Hi, I'd like to watch this anime. Do you want to cuddle with me and watch this anime? I'm a really good big spoon. I would say that it's just goofy, because like realistically Soul Eater is kind of goofy. Like it gets super serious at points. And the one thing that I do like about Soul Eater is, because how many episodes, like 40 episodes, 60, 70, something? So, I don't know. I don't know. But for me, the reason why I like Soul Eater so much is because it's really good at doing peaks, right? So there's actually quite a bit of storytelling that happens in in just one season, right? And I think they do it really well. So they're kind of like, okay, like here's peak 1, and then we're going to like go back down, and then here's the other storyline that we're going to start doing now. So like it kind of constantly keeps you engaged. There's multiple stories running at the same time. Whereas, for instance, Dragon Ball Z or like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we're taking like 3 or 4 episodes for a single fight. Yeah. And I enjoy that very much. Just that oop, doop, 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 right? And also Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah.
Brotherhood. I watched that like I think twice now.
Oh,
as
so
well
good.
too. As well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
So good. I'm gonna admit something to you right now.
Are we holding hands?
We're holding hands. I've never seen Ranma half.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's one of those like old school animes that like I don't think people even really talk about anymore, and it went on for like so long.
Yeah, it's from the creator of Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alti, that was like one of the things that like I was introduced to by my brother.
Okay.
And in Thunder Bay, there is spoiler alert, I'm from Thunder Bay. So in Thunder Bay, there was a comic book store called Hill City Comics. And they did bring in anime, and you could like rent the movies from them. It was like a very weird process. And then like there'd be like chunks of it missing. So like I don't even know how far I got into Rama half, but I know that it was like a thing that I watched when I was a kid. And it's also one of those things where I'm like, I don't necessarily know if I'd want to like re-pick back up again, because I'm just not very interested in it. Yeah. The Guyver though, on the other hand, was something that like has stuck with me like my whole entire life. And I recently found the manga for it.
Oh, okay.
And it's all online. Because trying to get this stuff, because if something's not popular here, it's just not going to make it over.
Yeah.
Right. So I found somewhere to like watch it online. Sorry, to read it online. But still haven't like gotten around to it just because I'm like, there's a lot of kind of, sometimes when you've watched an anime and then you go back and read the manga, there's a lot of like overlap, and I'm trying to like cut out as much overlap as possible because like I think I'm like 20 or 30 chapters in. That'd be like episode wise, right? And then I've got a mountain of reading to do after that. Like the amount, like, because I think they're up to like chapter like 120, and like you're only at like chapter 20.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of me like scrolling on my iPad, just being like, okay, like where actually am I in this? And then because it's online, I can't really necessarily access it if I don't have internet, right? You know what? Another like great Canadian show was
What?
Cyber 6.
Dude, that theme song, so good.
So good.
So good.
Just think about like old school stuff like
Yeah.
Cyber 6, because like remember, oh my god, do you remember when Teletoon came out?
Oh, I do.
Like how big a deal was Teletoon
Yeah.
for like Canadian kids? Because it was huge, because like, we didn't get Cartoon Network, we didn't get
No.
any of that, right?
No.
Like YTV would show stuff, and then all of a sudden like we had a like television, like a TV channel dedicated. And I remember when I was a kid, like I come from like a middle class family. Cable was expensive, and when Teletoon was launched, it was like part of like a big specialty package.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like begging my parents, I'm like, please, can we just get Teletoon? And my dad was so pissed off because it was like, that's like another like $20 on their effing cable bill, and like cable's so expensive as is. And I'm just like, okay, like I get it, but please. And Cyber 6 was like one of the original programs that was brought onto Teletoon.
Yeah.
And Cyber 6 is an Argentinian. I believe it's from Argentina.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Wait, is it? Can you look that up really quickly?
Yeah.
I believe Cyber 6 is Argentinian.
That's interesting because Yep.
Oh, sweet. I'm smart.
The comic book was, but I think the actual, I want to say the production.
No, it's done in here. Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it. All right. My God. Jeez. Backseat driver over here.
Oh my god.
But you know, so Cyber 6, you know, Argentinian comic, and we produced like the cartoon version of it here.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it did really well anywhere else.
You don't hear about it anywhere else
No.
other than here, so
I will say Reddit is a really good place to find really obscure information. I know that it was part of like the Reddit subreddit for Cyber 6, and the main problem with Cyber 6 is that like the actual storyline in the comics is obviously a lot darker.
Oh yeah.
And they brought it to like a kid audience, and you can find the translated panels and like the translated storyline to it. It just takes a really long time because it doesn't have such a large fandom behind it. You know, like
Yeah.
just comparing Sailor Moon Cosmos, you know, where it was literally the next day and in a week we had working subs,
Yeah.
to, you know, Cyber 6, an Argentinian comic that was like maybe big in Canada because of Teletoon,
Yeah.
right? So that's going to be a little bit like slower progress. And like even with the Guyver, it does have a large following, but like a lot of the time the translation of the mangas take a little bit longer because people got to scan the pages in, translate, reposition like everything, get rid of it. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. Speaking on Canadian TV, I recently saw across my TikTok that I completely not forgot, but like kind of like it's always been in the Reboot.
Are we talking about Reboot?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about Reboot. It's
Love
always
Medusa.
it's always been in my life because I had the action figures. I have that Retro Kid sweater.
Yeah.
And I just can't get over how still to this day how like influential it is.
You know, we don't talk about Reboot enough.
Yeah.
Period. And I think a lot of people back in the day were kind of like, oh, it's just like this like really weirdly computer animated show. And it was like, you know, in the infancy of You know, like Reboot walked so that Moana could cross an ocean and meet Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Literally.
Done.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't actually realize like that at the time that was like a really technologically advanced like animation style that we had, and it also helped create Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Right. So we had Beast Wars and we had Reboot that were kind of out there just changing the game on like how we, you know, did animation, especially for like kids. And it was really expensive back then.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't cheap.
No.
Right. Like it wasn't cheap. And I don't even know if like Reboot's like really big in the States. I don't.
It was like it
Mid-res?
yeah.
Mid-res.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I know that they found the masters. They're looking for that tape player so they can get everything off. So full disclosure, my boyfriend's from Ireland.
Okay.
So I've been really introducing him to like just like random things. I'm just like, hey, like here's like some Canadiana for you. And I made him watch a couple episodes of Reboot.
Okay.
Because he was just kind of like, what's Reboot? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? And I was like, okay, we'll just put it on, right? And it's all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so put it on, watched a couple episodes. He's like not really interested, but then I kept watching it. I know. And like, I wasn't even watching it. It was just on in the background. Right. Because I know this sounds really weird, but like as an adult, like I've lived by myself now for like 10 years. I've lived on my own for about 10 years now. And like, there are certain things living by yourself that like you kind of do as like creature comforts.
Yeah.
For instance, like putting on a TV show in the background, because there's always this like sense of like, you know, as I'm approaching 40, like I'm really starting to like think about like how like really weird things kind of are. Cause like I never had kids. I don't want kids. But I just like think about like my childhood and like, what the hell did I do as a kid? Like, what do you do with children?
Yeah.
Like, cause do you just like stay home like all the time? Cause I think of like my adult life where I'm like, I'm going to work. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go see a movie. I'm going to go to Tilt. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm like, there's all these options I do
Yeah.
on a regular basis that make me question like, what the did I do as a kid? Like, what do I do? Like, cause like right now, like I'm whatever I want to do. And then I realized I'm like, I guess you just stay home and like watch TV all the time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like bring that like nostalgia factor. And then also like living in a house full of people is your whole entire childhood as well too. So like you just get used to like those like creature comforts of like, you know, especially when I go home to visit my parents, you know, like the fact that like I'll wake up and like the TV's on,
Yeah.
you know, or like my parents like walking around the house and stuff like that. And it throws me off because I'm very much like, bedtime, lo-fi, and some mood lighting. Okay, like we're put me down to sleep. You know, like I want like pure quiet. I don't want anybody in my like with space. And then you wake up to that. So putting Reboot on was kind of like a very nostalgic thing for me because I'm like doing chores and it's on in the background. I'm like, oh, I just feel like I'm a kid again, like at home.
Yeah.
You know, just
I love
not doing
that.
anything.
Yeah. Also, Bob's voice.
Girl.
Oof. He spoke and I was like, I don't remember that.
Oh my god. Awkward. My pants are really tight right now. Gonna bring up something really interesting for you.
Yeah.
This is where we were going earlier, and then the rails fell off the track.
Yeah.
Because I had to think about it to say this. So, random fun fact.
Okay.
Deke no longer exists.
No.
Okay? So therefore, all those like dubs and everything like that from back in the day, essentially free game. However, because Sailor Moon's trademarked, you are not allowed on the podcast, young lady. young person. But yeah, so because like Deke doesn't exist anymore, there's like really no like copyright to like that original 95 dub that happened. And it's how we've ended up with like all this layering of like ADV getting the sub and then Cloverware coming back out and then
Viz
and like all this other stuff because people just constantly kept like buying the rights to it and they had to wait for like rights to expire.
Yeah.
But the Deke dub doesn't have any rights. Like it just kind of dissolved with the company. And in a way, I'm not going to say this like, cause don't take legal advice from me like whatsoever, but like in a way it's kind of like free game. But the flip side of it is the animation's still owned by Toy. It's a copyrighted thing by Toy. So like the audio and stuff like that like could exist, right? But like you can't go back and like do it. So the person who was re-releasing all the high definition of like Sailor Moon, the original 95 dub, got it all taken down because, once again, copyright infringement.
Of course.
So when I was talking to Michael about like creating the music and stuff like that, he said one of the hardest things about it was the fact is that when that album was released, it was like right around the time that like Napster started. So he was like, we could have made so much money off that album.
Yeah.
But because it was just kind of like weeb stuff, like it just like no one, like, I mean, I had the CD as a kid.
Of course. Yeah.
Because at that time I didn't have a computer.
No.
You know, no one's going to get a 10-year-old a computer. I don't think I got my first computer until I was like 15.
Yeah.
15, 16. Because owning a computer back in those days was like, it was a big thing. It wasn't like, it's not like we're like, hey, here's a $300 Dell laptop, have fun.
Yeah.
You know, like this was literally like, if you were buying like a family PC, you know, it's going to be, you know, like, I think like $1,400 or something like that.
Easily,
right?
Yeah.
Because you had to buy the entire thing. It was like the screen, the monitor, the wonderful sounding speakers we used to have back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, obviously I had to own the CD, and if anybody has that CD, can I just have it? Can you just post it to me, please? I would love to have that CD again. And yeah, and then just going back to the fact that like Sailor Moon was a lot bigger in Canada than it was in the States. And here's some random tidbits that were given to me by Emily.
Okay.
So the first season gets done, we get the second season, and then if you remember, it just abruptly stops kind of halfway through the second season.
Yeah.
And then we had to wait a couple years to get it. So what happened was they launched it in the States, doesn't perform well. They send it into syndication, right? And Michael remembers kind of waking up one morning and seeing it on the TV like super early in the morning. I think it was on at like 6 or 7 around that time in the States. So he's like, oh, I finally get to like kind of watch this because it's not in prime time. It's, you know, like now back into like lower tiered. And that's actually what got kids into it, was because kids would watch it when they're getting ready for school, on their lunch breaks, because it started, I think at one point it was on at like noon on my TV. And also a couple places in the States it was on during lunchtime, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of kids got into it that way. And then there was this organization back in the day. I don't even know who started it, but it was called like Save Our Sailors. It was like SOS. Mm-hmm. So this online petition went through. They gave it to Deke. Deke's like, oh, okay, like, but like there's not a lot of money. There was never any money, by the way. Deke never had money. Wink, wink. That was something that's also really interesting to bring up after this.
Yeah.
So Deke's like, there's not enough money to bring this back. So General Mills paid them a lump of money to get the rest of R done.
The cereal company?
The cereal company.
That's it. That's insane. That sounds like a fever dream.
I know, but it's the truth, right? And then, so they finished off R, and then we had to wait like forever to get S.
Yeah.
And Super S. I think it was like 16. Like it was like six, like it was a long time. It was a really long time. And then we finally got S and then Super S, which I never watched just because I think at the time, like I was like working by then, you know, like you're 16, you know, you've got your after school curriculars. I was doing like a lot of like theater and everything like that. And it just was never on at a good time for me. And I was just like, oh, but I do like what Cloverware did, which was kept the original audio into it. So like all the instrumentals that were actually with the original release. Not to say that I don't love like what the Deke dub did, because it gave us like some really great background music. It gave us amazing songs, right? But it was just nice to kind of see it. And I believe by that time when it was released, like I'd already seen it. It's like in Japanese. I think my friend showed up one day and he's like, hey, by the way, I have the DVDs that I got off eBay. And I'm like, cool. Well, let's watch this. Yay. I have more tidbits for you.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, I have so much tidbits about Sailor Moon.
Let's go.
Do you want to hear about the shadiest thing that happened to Michael about recording this whole entire thing?
Absolutely.
So, Deke had no money, quote unquote, air quotes, However, the president, I believe, at the time, put his name on all the songs that Michael had written and the music that was composed by Summers. So he got all the profit from it.
Oh my Jesus.
So put it as a pseudonym to say that he was part of it. So it was like he was on the top, then like Michael second, and then like Bob Summers is like third, and like all this other stuff, like all the other people.
Yeah.
And just nope. He got all the money for it.
That's
So like
fucked up.
they barely saw any money from that album, like besides getting like a paycheck. So
That's
so much fun stuff.
oh god,
Yeah.
that's so shitty.
Yeah.
I still can't get over the General Mills thing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
General Mills, baby. You want some Sailor Moon waffles? Bow, 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 bow.
God damn. I'm still shook. My God. So hot Enzo. No,
It's so hot, Enzo. Oh, you mean Daddy Enzo?
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, okay. I have a type. Okay. I'm not going to say that Enzo is it. But I would end his zone if you get my
I still have an action figure of
Daddy Enzo.
Daddy
Oh,
Enzo.
so it's called Daddy Enzo.
Yeah, Daddy Enzo. And so in my like parents' house, there's like my dad has like this shelf for his model boats,
Mm-hmm.
and for going on probably 6 years now, I hid Enzo in one of the boats, and he's just been there,
Yeah.
just chilling. Yeah. Also, the movie for reboot had no right to be that good. The Tale of Two
yeah.
Bobs or whatever.
Yeah, like the one where they wrap everything up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here. I love talking. I can talk so much about stuff.
Perfect. I'm just trying to think.
What about Children's? 'Cause you mentioned
Yes.
Oh my god, actually that was
Chobits-
the wrong one.
Oh, you.
I
son
was
of a
no,
bitch.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not Chopits. No, there's I forget what it was. Like it was like about like angels. No. It was like really sad. It was
That's Angel Beats. It's really sad.
they have like little halos and they're like in a field of green.
Oh.
Very like Little House on the Prairies. But it was like at Blockbuster and I rented it and I also like my friends rented it as well too and like we just didn't understand it. It was like really weird. Ooh, then there was like that the vampire one plus Blood Plus. Ooh,
What's
Blood
that about?
Plus. Is no
No, I got nothing.
like the vampire and she's like a vampire hunter and then it turns out like she's the main vampire. Isn't C plus Blood Plus?
I don't know. You want to Google that? I don't know.
Girl, that was like in college.
Um.
You don't actually know my origin story, do you?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. So, if you haven't watched my Vice interview, just gonna put it
Oh.
out there. Yeah.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. If you haven't watched my Vice interview that
Yeah.
went global, humble brag. Yeah. So the whole Bearsailormoon origins story is as follows. I did it as a joke because there was like back in the day in Toronto, there used to be this like not like a comedy group and they would do fan fiction the show.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right. So they would take fan fiction from all over and like essentially like act it out or like read it out in front of like in front of an audience. And it was a lot of fun. So my friend's like, oh, hey, they're doing a Sailor Moon one. And I was like, oh, cool. Like we should go. So my roommate at the time, there was this guy who was doing like these like videos where he would make construction paper Sailor Moon costumes. And it was like
Okay.
too amazing. So it was like, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
You know that song?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So he was like doing that. So I come home and my roommate, Jordana, who's actually, you might actually be able to meet her at some point because she's always around kind of like helping out with Pretty Heroes and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So she made me like a construction one. She made a construction Sailor Moon, Princess Serenity, like
Okay,
full with
yeah.
like
Oh, wow.
hair and everything. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So we went, the first time I got to meet Toby, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Because they had him as a guest. That was really cool. And then the year after that, it was fan fiction the show again. And Linda Ballantyne was there.
Okay.
Okay. And then there was supposed to be like a Sailor Moon boat cruise. And then there was Fan Expo.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I got to step my pussy up. I can't show up in like construction paper. FYI, I won the costume contest at the first one because there was a costume contest and I fucking won.
Oh shit.
I was wasted. Living my life in the Sailor Moon outfit of construction paper. So I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to do this. So there is a tutorial on YouTube that essentially teaches you how to like make the costume using like a circle skirt pattern, 2 t-shirts, and like some extra fabric, and that's it. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this, right? So my boyfriend at the time was an art student, so he knew how to use the sewing machine, and was like, hey, teach me. And he was like, yeah, for sure. So we did it, and it was ratchet. You can find those photos somewhere on my Instagram, somewhere. Yeah, like you gotta scroll all the way to the bottom. So literally it was just nothing more than a t-shirt tucked in to like a skirt I found at Urban Behavior for like $5 that I don't even think was on sale. I think just somebody like left it there and was like, this skirt is hideous. And we're just like, I'm going to go buy something better. So meet Linda in that. She loves it. You know, like I win the costume contest again. And so we're super excited. We're going to go to the boat cruise. Boat cruise, shocking, doesn't happen. There was like 5 of us there. And then it was Fan Expo. So I was like, okay, I need a better skirt. Right. So found Sparkle Pipsy's tutorial, which is readily available online. She was one of the first people to make a Sailor Moon pattern and kind of like publish it. So that's actually the pattern I've kind of been using this whole entire time.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So and then went to Fan Expo, had a great time. It was like the first Fan Expo I ever went to. And then just kind of like as the years go by, it's just gotten better and better and better. And I think it was around my 2nd or 3rd costume where I had a friend come up to me and they're like, okay, like we're done. This is year 2. No, we're changing all of this. Right. So they taught me how to like make a bodysuit, do the skirt properly, you know, do everything. And, that is like around the time that like Vice wanted to interview me.
Yeah.
So they came over, I like did some sewing, like I, you know, remade the bows and everything and ended up with a great costume. And just throughout the years, like it's just kind of gotten like better and better and better. And, you know, the Vice interview helped a lot with kind of like being able to like open doors. But the biggest thing that's actually opened doors for me is doing things at conventions.
Yeah.
Right. So my end goal for all of this is within the next like year or 2 is I want to start traveling and, you know, performing and being like a performing artist and like also like a content creator as well too. And as this brand kind of expands, you know, I'm hitting 10 years now. This year, 2024, officially marks 10 years of like me being Bearsailormoon. And last year I started dabbling in like more male costumes. Like last year I did Wario.
Yep.
I did Mayor Pretty Patrick.
Yep.
I did like a Jedi. Because let me tell you, nobody wants to take a photo of you when you're a Jedi, and walking through a convention floor as a Jedi is the easiest thing in the whole entire world. Walking through Fan Expo as Bearsailormoon, different story.
Oh yeah.
Different story.
Yeah.
Right? So as I'm kind of expanding on everything, I do want to get like into like more like male-based cosplays. So I think this year I'm doing like a Sailor Moon Jedi costume.
Okay. Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
going to be like Sailor Moon as a Jedi. And then I'm going to be doing, hopefully, if I can get this one done, I'm taught myself how to sew. I'm not the greatest sewer in the whole entire world, but bit by bit, like my skills have gotten a lot better, right?
Yeah.
Want me to make you a Sailor Moon outfit? Sure, no problem. Hem these pants? Absolutely not. Okay. No. So, and then Nephlite is going to be this year.
Ooh.
And then next year, the big one is going to probably be a brand new Sailor Moon build,
Okay.
as well as Star Fox, but like a human version
Ooh.
of Star Fox.
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So we're just like slowly but surely like adding like more things into the repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
And also, with that being said, there will be a name change.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. as much as I love Bearsailormoon, and I will always, 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 always be Bearsailormoon, he is now getting relegated to like performances or like appearances. So for instance, like I'm being flown out to Winnipeg in May. So like as part of my contract, like I'm always like, okay, like how much do you want me as Bearsailormoon, and like how much do you want me in these other costumes, right? And it's becoming this thing now that's happening to conventions here as well too. I'm like, okay, like what days am I required to be Bearsailormoon?
Yeah.
And like what days am I not required to be Bearsailormoon? Because I'm trying to like do different things.
Of course.
And I have one costume. That's it. Like that, like the Sailor Moon costume you see me in is the only Sailor Moon costume that I have. So it is coming to a point now where I'm like, okay, like it's usually like one day is just strictly Bearsailormoon. This is what I'm going to do my performances in. And as I said before, like I just have the one costume, right? So I have to be like, I don't want to be in it the whole entire weekend, you know?
Of course.
During the wintertime, it's okay because like it's kind of like it's warm-ish, but you know, you get a little like the nipples at your legs.
Yeah.
And then during the summer, it's an absolute nightmare to wear because it is neoprene. Yeah. Because I decided years ago that neoprene was going to be the fabric of choice. And let me tell you, it's fucking choice.
Not very breathable.
Not very breathable. And the other thing as well too is that like because I've started to do stuff like more with conventions now, like I kind of have to be a little bit more like PG. So like, you know, being Wario is just really kind of fun because, you know, I get to just kind of be like an idiot and like not really have to worry about like tarnishing my reputation. And it's also like a lot of fun as well too, because like people come up to me and like, are you Bearsailormoon? And I'm like, I am. And then, you know, like there's kind of like that excitement behind it as well too.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, Bearsailormoon like going to like more like, you know, like performance bases like once a week. The name change is going to eventually come, and the name change is going to change to, hopefully, if it's still available when I decide to do this, is going to be Gray Eyes Cosplay.
Okay.
And the reason I decided to go with Gray Eyes Cosplay is it pays homage to the indigenous side of me, because Gray Eyes is my grandmother's indigenous name before she got married. So I just, you know, want to bring that out, you know, and just be like, hey guys, like, you know, if I'm going to go up on a world stage, you know, as Bearsailormoon, I still can do it, but like, you know, Gray Eyes Cosplay is a little bit more about like the whole encompassing experience, or who knows, maybe I'll just stay Bearsailormoon and hope that toy never comes after me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you're paying homage to your background, and that's that's just amazing. So when you are deciding to cosplay a different character other than Sailor Moon, what goes through your brain to be like, I want to cosplay that?
What's cheap and easy?
What?
What is cheap and what is easy? No, I'm just totally kidding. You know, people really just kind of, I'm not going to say pigeonhole or assume, but I think people think that I own, like, it's just Sailor Moon. And I'm like, I belong to a lot of like different fandoms, you know, like I'm surprisingly quite a Star Wars nerd and a Star Trek nerd as well too. I'm like, I love Star Trek Discovery. I eat that.
Shit.
I love Star Trek Discovery, and I love Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So that's been like a really big thing that I kind of want to like just be like, hey guys, like I'm not just like a one trick pony, right? Like I'm like, I don't just only watch Sailor Moon. And a lot of people are kind of like, they're like, oh, you like watch other stuff? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of like X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
But Sailor Moon is like my cemented one. Like this is like the one I know the most about. This is the most random fact stuff that I actually know. And I always win Sailor Moon trivia.
Yeah, that and Aaron
'Cause I read it.
Yeager, you know.
Aaron Yeager.
Yeah.
I want to really, okay, so this is, okay, hold on to your butts. I can't compete anymore in Toronto.
Okay.
I haven't competed, I think, since I won Fan Expo. And I miss competing so much. And I don't compete mostly, A, because I'm usually running programming, so that eliminates me from being able to. But I want to literally just like come out in like a floor length cape and like have the music to Sweet Transvestite playing in the background, right? And just be like, how do you do? I see you've met my, and it just like goes on. And then like when it says sweet transvestite, I just throw off the cape and like underneath is a Sailor Moon like Attack on Titan cosplay, just in the style of like
oh my god,
the swords and everything on the end of it just blitzed out. Like these are the stupid things I think about when I'm drinking. So yeah, it's just and there are things that I want to do as well too. You know, like Wario. You know, I enjoy Nintendo's franchises very much, and I was like, I don't want to be Mario. That's kind of basic. Wario's kind of fun though. Oh, and then like, you know, I did the whole thing. Like I dyed, you know, like the pants, like I made it work, you know, like it's, and it's also just really comfortable, and it's a nice, easy way to get around conventions as well too. And hopefully for people, they're kind of like signify that like, oh wait, like he's kind of taking a break right now. Cause like cons are very long.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people really understand like what con weekends are like for me. They can either be super light where I'm not doing anything, or they can just be like, I'm running 2 panels a day plus performances plus.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, when it comes to doing those type of cosplays, I just want to do like a little bit more, because I want people to know that I'm more than just a one-trick pony. Bearsailormoon's been great because it's unlocked a lot of doors, and I've been able to do a lot. You know, like we started Bearsailormoon's Lip Sync Extravaganza, which is like, I got the official numbers back from Fan Expo, and they said 450 people were in the audience for it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, and then doing the drag shows with Fan Expo, being able to like, you know, go to Fan Expo Vancouver and like run programming over there. And with all the local cons just being like, hey, here's some programming I'm thinking about doing. Yeah, absolutely do it. Great. You know? So that's been really nice. And I've been able to, you know, start singing with Bearsailormoon. I've been able to do a lot of stuff. But I also want other cosplays as well too. And the Sailor Moon Jedi is going to be fantastic. I might have to buy Nephlite, which is going to be weird because it's going to be my first purchased cosplay.
Jeez.
Because all the other cosplays I've done have been all done by me. They've been made by me. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of like do that experience of paying for a costume from like Easy Cosplay or something like that, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been longly anticipated. And when you DM'd me, I'm like, yes, finally, I'm coming over. We're doing this. And you're like, yeah, I'm so ready for it. You're like one of my favorite people in the whole entire world. You know that.
Yeah.
Right. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you over the last couple of years that we've started to develop a friendship.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really hope that this takes off for you and that you get absolutely everything that you deserve, because you deserve it. You're like one of the nicest people at conventions. You always make my day. And it's been nice to actually hang out with you outside of me complaining that I'm tired and that I have to go run a panel.
Literally, it's just like, we'll see you, and it'll be like either, hey, oh my God, or hey, I want to fucking smoke.
Yeah. It's because like that's the thing, like people just don't understand, like people don't get it, like you know, especially like March Comic-Con and like Fan Expo and like Anime North, like those like really big conventions, like I'm doing a lot, you know, so it's like you'll meet me at the beginning of the week and I'm like, I'm happy, and at the end of it I'm like, I need a drink or I am going to murder somebody. If I have to smile at one more child, I will punch it in the face.
All right. Where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me on all social medias at Bearsailormoon, all one word with a lot of chest hair.
Emphasis on the chest hair. You can find me at Corky Cosplays on Instagram and Adam Corky everywhere else. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also go listen to the audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I think Google Play. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Bye.
I'll Google Play you.
Ooh.